This is your Neepawa Town Council Debrief for the June the 6th, 2023 meeting. The debrief will highlight the key issues being discussed by Council and provide some context for their conversations, as well as information on what those decisions might mean for the town. This week's meeting sees three separate public hearings for three very different requests. The first was regarding the new hospital, which requires a variance to increase the maximum height of the building in an institutional zone from 45 feet to 65 feet. The second was to close that portion of Commerce Street next to the Yellowhead Center that had been misaligned and now has been replaced with an access point going directly into the Yellowhead Center parking lot. Both had no representation present and no comments submitted and were passed unanimously by Council. The third was for a variation to construct a secondary suite in the basement of a residence. And the suite had exceeded the standard size percentage relative to the main building. Now, the requested size was still within building code allowances. When the size listed in the building code is exceeded, the construction and renovation project goes from being a secondary suite and becomes a full duplex, and that would require additional regulations. There was one letter received in opposition to the project. This was based on available parking in the area. However, both the planning officer and the homeowner spoke to the fact that there will continue to be adequate off-street parking behind the home. As an offshoot of this variance request, Council also discussed the fairly straightforward process to properly add a secondary suite to a residence and encouraged other residents to follow this process. Which would include consulting with the planning district, and this is to ensure the safety of all people living in the home.
So be it resolved that we do now open this public hearing to hear representation to variation application B03-2023 of Liz Sumner, moved by Deputy Mayor Parrott, seconded by Councillor Gerard. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, so Scott,
so we received an application for a variance. The application number is B03-2023N. The owner and applicant is Elizabeth Sumner. The proposal would be to vary, to increase the required 40% of the square footage of the principal building for an attached secondary suite to the proposed 80%. The area affected would be 219 Mill Street, Lot 1820, Block H, Plan 1878. And it would reasonably be in support would be for the owner wishes to convert the basement to a secondary suite. Variation would be required due to the size and location of the increase. Essentially, within the zoning bylaw, any secondary suite, either be it attached or detached, is required to be at least for maximum 40% of the principal building, whether it be main floor or basement. In this case, this one is the basement. So I believe there was a plan sent out. The current square footage of the basement is 905 square feet. And within taking out the utility room and the stairwell, it equates to 705 square feet, so roughly 80%. The building code allows up to 80%, or a maximum of, I think it was 80 square meters, which is 877 square feet. Otherwise, you start going into classifying as duplex, and then there's special requirements being fire separations, smoke separations. Building code becomes a lot more strict with that. We have received one objection from Owen Gladwin in regards to this variation application. The house that is on this site is large enough for the size of the lot. I would be surprised if it fell within the current regulation. So I do not think this should be allowed. Also, with a lot being extremely full already, it leaves no room for any additional parking of vehicles. And as you should be aware, parking around or near the school is an issue. And to allow this to go forward is just going to add this to the problem. I do not think these are issues in the town and should be considered when making this decision. Driving by this morning and multiple other times within the past week, there is ample parking required within the back of the property. It is off-street. There is roughly, you could fit 3 vehicles comfortably within that lot. Zoning allows, or is required for, essentially for a single unit dwelling, 1 parking stall. With a secondary suite, you would require 1 extra. And with required, if they have 3 parking stalls, parking is not an issue.
Okay, any other questions of Scott?
Would you be able to speak after about if other people wanted to come in and what process they need to go through?
Yep.
Yeah. Liz, I see you there in the back. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, I don't think so. There is adequate parking, I feel.
Yeah. Okay.
And they're very good tenants. They're excellent.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
If anybody would like to do a secondary suite, which it is possible within the zone. Certain zones, there is requirements that would need to be followed. Within the building code, the smoke separation would be a major one. It would need to have a separate entrance from the primary dwelling. If you're doing a basement suite, you have to have, you could use the same entrance, but the main floor would have to be separated off from the basement. So basement would have to have a locked door, and also the primary residence would need to have a locked door as well. It's really all. Building code's not as strict. It's strict on a lot of aspects, but not as much as if you're going into a duplex.
And it wouldn't be able to be subdivided into
No.
2 separate units?
No.
Okay.
Councillor Gerard?
I just wanted to add on, it's great that we have this presentation because it shows that council will look favorably on secondary suites within the community, but by following process, we can ensure we have planned and organized development within the community. I think that's the great part here, is we can see the actual process, and it's not overwhelming, it's just a question of checking the right boxes.
Yes.
And safe development.
And a safe development,
Yes,
yeah.
there is a lot of safety aspects that can be within having multiple people within the building. If you don't have your proper egress, alarming systems, essentially you could lose a life very quick if there's not any, if the process isn't followed and safety measures are taken. There can be catastrophic repercussions on it.
I'll maybe just add to that, the advice to the public, anyone wanting to consider this needs to come and talk to the planning district ahead of time. Don't initiate a development permit with the understanding we were just going to renovate. That doesn't work, because quite often it doesn't matter what permits we look at around town. They go to inspect and they find out there's kitchens and basements and there's things that don't even relate to just a simple renovation. So if you do it front, I think I agree with Councillor Gerard. We're you're willing to listen, and as long as we do it right. So people need to be forthright when they come in with their application.
Exactly, yes. We've had ones where that we've gone in, there's far more bedrooms than what we've been told about. And some of them don't even have windows, they're in basements, they're sectioned off in the middle of nowhere within a house. And that can lead to horrible incidents.
In council reports this month, Councillor Pottinger reported on the Recreation and Economic Development Committee, which will be holding a children's business fair in August. As well, the new training facility for the LPN program is well underway and on schedule. And the pool opened last weekend to a full capacity crowd, despite a portion of it being fenced off due to ongoing construction of the new water slide. And given the heat that we saw last weekend, I can just imagine how many people were out there at the pool.
The Recreation and Economic Development Committee met. We were briefed on several things, one of which being the Children's Business Fair. Marilyn gave us the details about that, which will culminate on August 10th at the Farmers Market at Arts Forward, where they will have 11 young entrepreneurs who will have a product or service to market at the Farmers Market. So that's an exciting program coming up. The training facility for the nurses program, work by the contractor is underway. Product has been ordered, and they are cognizant of our closely watched timeline. So we briefed on that. And this past weekend, the pool opened, and we are anticipating a wedgie-worthy water slide, is what our recreation department has told us. The pool itself opened with a slight modification because of the timeline of the slide, but it hit capacity on Saturday at public swimming, and the first week has been bustling with lessons. They've had no issues and no complaints. A wonderful opening week was the report about there. So that's what I know for today.
Great.
Councillor Sisley represented council at the Mutya ng Filipino Heritage Pageant last weekend and commended the organizing committee for an excellent event. The first fun fitness event for the town was last Sunday and had a great turnout despite the scorching weather. The next will be this Sunday at 10 a.m. at Riverbend Park, and they will continue for 6 weeks on consecutive Sundays. As well, the town is planning a scavenger hunt to highlight and celebrate the many recreation projects that have taken place recently. It will begin on June 18th and culminate in a barbecue on July the 6th. More information will be coming soon.
So I was fortunate to attend the Motea ng Filipino Heritage 2023 this past Saturday. It was a spectacular show of Filipino culture and heritage. Congratulations to all the young ladies who participated. Their hard work was evident in everything they did, and it was an absolutely amazing event. The next big event for the Filipino Heritage is June 17th. It's a free event and everyone is invited. The day will start with a parade at 1 p.m. that will start at Riverbend and make its way to the Yellowhead Center. Once at the Yellowhead, those in attendance will be treated to all different aspects of the Filipino culture, from dancing, singing, food, to cultural traditions, and more, from all 8 regions that are being represented. The first of our Fun Fitness in the Park event was held on Sunday at Riverbend Park. Prince from the Neepawa Dance Club was the host instructor. Zumba with Prince was a huge hit. There were over 40 people who attended, even in the heat, and it was very warm. There were lots of giveaways for the attendees, and everyone in attendance was able to enter their names in a bonus draw for a free membership to any one of the instructors that teaches during the Fun Fitness in the Park sessions. The next session will be hosted by Whitey's Gym, and that will be at 10 a.m. this Sunday, June 10th. Handyman is partnering with Home Assistance Neepawa for a casino trip on June 26th. Call Michelle at 204-476-2009 to book your spot for that one. They are only doing the one in June. And lastly, I wanted to mention a fun event that our council, along with the help of the town staff, will be hosting for the community. We felt it was time for a celebration of everything that has been completed in recreation in the last 5 years, from the Recreation Master Plan and the community's wish list. To make it a fun celebration, we've decided to host a scavenger hunt that will culminate with a free barbecue down at Riverbend Park. The scavenger hunt will start on Father's Day, June 18th, and will end on Thursday, July 6th at the barbecue. There are some great prizes to be won, including gold ice tickets, some chamber bucks, family swim passes, and a few more little prizes. There'll be a great way for families to get out and be active, as well as learning and trying new things within our community. Keep an eye out for posters like this one throughout town and on the town's social media page and website for more updates. I think it's going to be a really fun event and just show people everything that we have for recreation in Neepawa. So.
I'd just like to give a big shout out to Rev. Merv Starzik from the Yellowhead Municipality, who's been on the Trans-Canada Yellowhead Highway Association, I think, for over 13 years and has been president several times. And this is something that goes from Portage all the way to the Pacific Ocean. And he has, at our annual general meeting, he has stepped down, and somebody else has taken the presidency, and I can't remember the name now, but he has served faithfully for many years, and he's also our Midwestern director on AMM, and he's a great asset to our province. Merv.
Very good. Yeah, that is a long time serving. Yeah, well, some of us will see him next week.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Oh yeah, we have our AMM convention next week for our district meeting.
Councilor Nadeau.
Yeah, I've got a short one. I've been participating in my different group meetings. May 23rd, there was a Yellowhead meeting. May 17th, Western Manitoba Regional Library meeting. And May 17th, Westlake Employment Skills and Services meeting. Just some highlights from the library that I wanted to share is it's now fully stocked again, our little free library that's at the campground. So that's available for our campers or anyone walking by these little free libraries. To give you an example of our circulation from our local library here, in April, we had 1,360 items circulated through our library. To give you a comparison, Brandon had 9,500 items. So I think that's pretty good because Brandon's, approximately 10 times our size. So we're definitely using our library really well. And one interesting thing to note to council here is the library is sponsoring a TEDx talks that will be planned later in the year, and it may occur through all the libraries across our region. And it's a way of showcasing our local knowledge in our communities. So something to watch for, and if you're interested, please contact our local library.
Manager of Operations Denise Kay reports that the town is making good progress on several ongoing projects, including the Hamilton Street water main installation, the concrete pour at the wastewater plant, and the concrete pad for the new water slide. Paving work for the new tennis courts will be taking place shortly, and following that, the next project is looking at repurposing the old Crocus Drive for additional courts. As well, they have been doing some line painting on downtown streets for angle parking and planting 2 semi-loads of trees out of the bike park for a reforestation project. For safety reasons, residents are reminded to stay off the old lake bed at Park Lake and to avoid any construction areas, as machinery drivers may have difficulty spotting people underfoot, particularly children.
There's been quite a bit in the works last 2 weeks. Hamilton Street's still ongoing with the water installation there. This is a new main from Howland up to the museum portion, and then we'll be tying in at the Daycare loop. So we have circulated water in that section of the loop. No longer have a dead end main. We'll increase fire capacity and flow in those zones, so it's all around good upgrade. Just like sewer extension, that's already been completed there as well, so if we see sales in the commercial lot, we have serviceability on the lot. Surveyors are out, they marked out and staked that site so we can start doing cut material, and then just probably finish it to a gravel base this year, and then we'll let it receive the settlement over the year, and then see if we've got a budget and allocation next year to pay than that. Wastewater plant's been moving on nice. The MDBR tank was poured, and I believe the crane was out removing all the forms off it yesterday, probably today, wrapping that up. So that project, again, proceeding quite nicely on there. They've had some good weather during all their concrete pours. They haven't had this really hot stuff, so they've been pleased. And same thing, Park Lake means ramping up on those. Again, we remind public to stay off the lake, stay off the site. That whole zone is closed to the public. We do not want anyone in there. It's incredibly busy with tons of machinery, very big machinery, and they just don't see small people walking around, so stay off the site. Tennis courts, we're optimistic it'll be 2 weeks. It looks like they'll be in that 3-week section, like they said, so that'll be coming around the corner. Crocus, with staff being busy on the water installation, they never got to those courts on Crocus, so we'll try to push and see if they can get on top of that one. Residents obviously noticed that we've got a giant concrete pad now at the pool for the water slide, and our commercial pools are starting to set up and mobilize all the equipment there. So in the coming week, we'll start probably seeing something pop on the ground. the north end of town, so the back 40, we've seen 2 centimeters of trees go in there for the reforestation project in that site, and the contractors installed all those trees. So I think we did about 120 full mature trees, so they're all basketed material, so anywhere from 6 to 10 feet in height. Very large stock, so with all these rains there, it's been doing a lot of good. Dust control, I went and inspected all the streets today. I feel confident that we can actually put a heavy semi on some of them now and start spraying. So that's been booked for Thursday. Actually, might even see it as early as tomorrow if they see their projects move ahead. So we'd like to see Wednesday, Thursday for some stuff on the streets. And then boat work staff have also been busy line painting. So residents will notice that we put some no parking signs up and they can please abide by that so that we don't paint the vehicle. And we can do the entire street. We appreciate that. That's pretty much everything I've got. And big parks and cemetery, they've been trying to keep up with grass, but with all the rain and all the heat, it's every 2 days, 3 days, mow. So everything's busy. Good.
The parade route for Filipino Heritage Month has been set and will run from Riverbend Park up Hamilton Street to Mountain Avenue, then down Mountain Avenue to the Yellowhead Centre, where the rest of the festivities will take place. Council voted to allow closure of these streets for the duration of the parade, which will begin at 1 p.m. on June the 17th.
Colleen, parade?
We did this last year as well. As you know, if we need to have a parade in town, we need to close some roads. So this resolution speaks to closing the roads to be able to have the Filipino Heritage Parade on the 17th.
Okay, be it resolved that in order to facilitate the 2023 Filipino Heritage Parade scheduled for Saturday, June 17th, at 1 o'clock, we hereby authorize the closure of part of Mountain Avenue from the Yellowhead Center to Hamilton Street, and that part of Hamilton Street from Mountain Avenue East to Riverbend Park. These portions of the street remain closed until the end of the parade. Moved by Councillor Pottinger, seconded by Councillor Kostachuk. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
And finally, Council approved 2 separate tenders to do some paving inside town. One is to do patching, specifically for utility cuts and other damage. The other is paving the extension to Stonehouse, and also the repaving of stretches to the south end of Mountain and First Avenues that were significantly impacted by flood damage.
Denise, do you want to talk to paving and patching?
Again, paving. I'm sure people are going to get tired of running with some potholes. So we started to get some quotations. We contacted 3 separate companies. We have Profile Paving, Zenith, and Messington out of Port. All provided kind of distinct quotes to do all the work, so we had to kind of break them apart and decide what was the best option. So we have, the main portion would be patching, so all the utility cuts, any damage, any insufficiencies. This spring we had a few streets that just kind of crumbled apart, so we'd be looking at those locations. Any of the bird baths that we've been setting up for a couple of years now, try to patch and fix, or older utility cuts to settle out. So that'll fall into the patching zone. And then the paving side, I think we had selected 3 streets. So it'll be the extension of Stonehouse Street from just near the intersection of Houghton, I guess, and then we'll go eastbound on that one. And then we had 2 streets that suffered some significant water damage during our flooding last year, and actually flaked them off and took sheets of them off. So those are the 2 south ends of First Avenue and Mountain Avenue. In those cases there, we're going to leave the curb and gutter in place. We'll peel off the degraded asphalt, and assuming there's no base in it there, so we're going to cut down approximately a foot of base and then rebuild that to a proper standard. So it can take all of our heavy loads, our garbage truck traffic, and any other heavy machinery that's going through there now.
So for patching, we're recommending low bid for Profile Paving at $86,389, and we're recommending for the 3 paving projects, awarding Zenith Paving at $234,490, also low bid.
Also covered were the Regional Library Report, 2 grants from the Beautiful Plains Community Foundation, an invitation to Filipino Heritage Month festivities on June the 17th, a lawn tractor purchase, a lease agreement for the airport hangar, acceptance of an engineering quote for 2 new CP railway crossings, minor policy updates, and the regular financial report.
Lease agreement, airport hangar, Colleen?
So more recently, we've had had some discussions about the hangar we purchased out at the airport, and an interested individual would like to store a plane in there. So as opposed to it sitting vacant, we're going to garner roughly $175 a month rental. The person is very clear, he understands that it could be very short term, should we decide to do something with it or use it ourselves. So we will have a lease agreement established. We just right now are looking into the insurance to make sure we've got that covered, because it's a little different scenario where we not only own the land here, but we also own the building, and we want to make sure we're covered. But if you're in agreement, I'm asking for the approval for Warden Dennis to rent that particular hangar for $175 a month at 224 Airport Road.
Okay, CP Crossings going?
So this particular item, maybe, did you want to speak first?
Yeah, like I said, this has been a year in the workings, so very tedious process with the permitting application steps. But I started the process last year to improve some railway crossings. Found that we had to go through a pretty arduous task of some CP permits. And when I consulted our surveyor, they worked on it. They concluded that it was even beyond their skill level and their abilities. So we have to look into an engineering firm to complete the permitting process. So I see that we have two quotations. Both are very similar, both are very close in value. So they will complete the permitting process for us, make application, then we can have a recommendation on the improvements we have to make, just to improve approach angles. Both are out of alignment completely and they're skewed, so a bigger task to improve roadway crossing safety here, so that's our target.
So we're recommending low bid, which is only $150 lower than the other one. Low bid was $16,450 to Burnsman Net,
Okay.
This is for the design of two railway crossings.
which the permitting process will not proceed unless we have.
Any other questions?
I guess the public might not be aware, but we'll do the one on Hurdle Road, just north of the kind of weird intersection on Railway where they merge together. And then will be northbound from the Barker Road.
Barker Road.
Viewers should note that in the months of July and August, there will be only one council meeting on the third Tuesday of each month. Regular council schedule will resume in September. You can view end-to-end coverage of the Town Council meeting elsewhere in the NACTV schedule, including immediately following this. If you have comments, questions, or topics we might be able to shine some light on for you, please reach out. We can be reached at 204-476-2639, by email at nactvnews@gmail.com, or on social media at Neepawa TV. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you again next time.